Welcome back, everyone, to our final segment here on Community Focus. And I am so thrilled because I have Bruce Daggy, and I hope I'm saying that correct. Am I doing that, Doctor? Is it Dr. Daggy or Dr. Daggy?
Daggy.
Daggy. Well, I'm going to call you Bruce if you don't mind. But it's wonderful to have you here on the show with us because I know in talking with you a little bit earlier, realizing that you really flew in from Chicago all the way to California, and now we have you on the line, and I said to you, have you taken your MindWorks? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, I'm delighted because I know that in celebration of this 100th anniversary of Dr. Forrest Shaklee, and of course that was when he began that pioneering work leading to the invention of so many wonderful vitamins. When I realized that this was a new, really a great deal of research that went into this MindWorks, I thought I must get Bruce Daggy on the show with me to talk to me about this. So if you will, take us back a little bit, if you will, Dr. Daggy, and explain to my listeners what happens to the brain as we become mature, I guess.
Well, it's a great question, and it's a very hot area of research interest right now, kind of around the world. Our brains reach their peak size, their peak volume, at about age 20. Although there's still some fine-tuning that's going on in the brains. If you, like I remember when I was a 20-year-old male, I don't think my brain was quite fully developed. Let's put it that way.
I hope not.
But that's when our brains are about their peak volume. And then what happens as a normal part of aging is the brain very slowly shrinks a little bit year by year, and then at around age 50, that rate of shrinkage tends to increase. And what we now understand is that's not the loss of neurons, the brain cells that we used to talk about. It's actually the connection between those cells.
Uh-huh.
Our brain cells are designed to communicate with each other, and each one will be in touch with hundreds or even thousands of its neighbors, and it's that network of connections that allows us to store memory and to process thought. And so that's very important. That's how the brain is working, is through these connections, which can develop through life. But what's happening as we get older is we're tending to lose some of those connections, and that's why the brain is shrinking, and that's why we may notice increasing difficulty remembering where we left the keys or why we walked upstairs, or just having more difficulty learning new things.
It seems to me that years and years and years ago, when individuals would have those same symptoms that you've just described, we didn't know about Alzheimer's. We didn't know about dementia. And I guess this is where all of a sudden we're saying, okay, is it a natural phenomenon that our brain is shrinking, or is it going to happen to us? As they say, everybody, if they live long enough, you're going to get cataracts. But what is it that's causing the shrinkage that we can maybe do something about?
Yes, there is. I mean, that's the good news. And we're at a very interesting time in the research world as ingredients and combinations of ingredients and products are explored for maintaining brain health. To your point, part of what's going on is that we are living longer, and there is a widening gap between what is sometimes called the health span and the lifespan. So particularly at the later years of life, people may be living in poor health, either mental or physical or both, and we would love to see that gap close. We would love to find ways, ideally through nutrition and lifestyle, where our lives are long and healthy, and we're not dealing with a significant period of decline, particularly at the end of life. So, again, the good news is that there are things that we can do, nutrition and lifestyle-wise, that are protective of the brain. So while brain shrinkage and loss of mental acuity is a natural process that can happen to most of us over the years, that's not to say that there's nothing that we can do to slow that process down.
What is it that in some cases we talk about heredity, and some people just have no problems whatsoever. Others have extreme problems. And that's one question, kind of, because the next question is, how does stress affect the brain?
Okay. Well, heredity certainly plays a role. Heredity can set you up to be more or less likely to suffer a number of adverse consequences to your health. But again, there's what you can control, and what you can control are the lifestyle factors that have that effect. You mentioned stress. I mean, stress can have amazing effects on the brain, particularly when people are in severe stress circumstances, going through a divorce, losing a job, or a health issue for a child, or something else that really will occupy somebody's mind.
But what is this literally, physically doing to your brain?
Well, it's certainly. Let me give one extreme example. Post-traumatic stress syndrome. So you have perhaps a soldier coming back from a war who has seen risk from improvised explosive devices, right? Might come back into the normal setting, a normal world, and because of that extreme stress caused by that wartime situation, will be looking in restaurants, looking under tables, looking for bags that don't seem to have owners. It's not an appropriate response for where they are now, but because of the stress of the situation that they were in, the response has been hardwired for a period of time. So that can happen in any kind of stressful situation where our brain, because of something that was causing great duress, will orient itself in a way to be particularly vigilant against that particular stress. And I've experienced myself, and I've talked to others who've been in extremely stressful situations for a period of time, and the short-term memory, the memory can just collapse for a period of time. And it can be very, very concerning in and of itself. You wonder what's happening. You've been invited to dinner with a friend, and you accept, and then you forget to show up, and you think, what's going on here? And the good news is, if you can get past that period of stress and work on some relaxation techniques and other things, you can begin to get over that valley.
There is a happy lining at the end of all of this, I know. And one of the reasons I was so excited about having you come on and talk about this, of course, recently we had a tragedy here in our community where, we won't even go into it, but it was from a homeless situation where someone had that same fear and ended up killing a young man. But it seems to me that we're all thinking about brains. It seems to me that every day I get a request to do an interview regarding somebody about the brain development, from children to adults to whatever. But there are some good things we can do, because I know when I read about MindWorks, which is something you have been working on, what literally is this one little tablet from Shaklee doing to help our brains?
Well, it's a very interesting combination. We looked this. By the way, we've been developing this product for about the last 5 years, so it's not a quick exercise to come up with something like this. But we looked through the medical literature and nutrition literature to see what natural ingredients have been clinically tested to show mental acuity benefits, either in the short term or in the longer term. And so we were focused on those. And so let me go through some of the specifics.
Okay, let me just interrupt you, because we only have about 2 minutes left. So we have to kind of speed this up, and I want everyone to know that we can get, is that right, Hamp? We have about 2 minutes?
Sure.
About 2.5 minutes. There is hope at the end of the tunnel, and that is with the Shaklee MindWorks.
Right. So one thing I would then suggest is people who want to learn more, go visit our website, Shaklee.com, because they can get the full details. But in brief, we've included ingredients in this once-a-day product that are for short-term improvements in memory and concentration and reaction time, as well as longer-term preservation of brain volume and cognitive function. And associated with that, a kind of a third ingredient that we developed ourselves that helps support the circulation, because your brain, although it's only about 2% of your body weight, can demand 20 or 25% of the blood flow. So again, you need a healthy circulation in order for your brain to function at its best. And we wanted to put that combination together as a way to help people in the near term and the longer term. And again, Shaklee.com if you want to learn more about that.
Oh, well, we certainly are going to do that and check into it, because I think when you realize that when people have even taken this particular MindWorks, and also some cognitive games that you can play with that stimulate your brain, but as we've been told over and over again, Dr. Bruce Daggy, that your brain is the one part of your body that tells you what you do, what you shouldn't do, what you want to do, what you may not want to do. Why don't we take better care of it? So we have to learn more about that too. I hope you'll be able to. I've got your telephone number now, so be careful. I can call you and do these interviews with you frequently and see how we're going with MindWorks. But I do appreciate so much having you come on. Do we have a light at the end of the tunnel?
I think we do. I mean, we're not done here at Shaklee either in terms of supporting mental acuity or just health in general. And again, to me, it's a fascinating question as a nutritional biochemist. You know, how much can we do with nutrition and lifestyle? I think it's a lot more than we've been doing. And I feel like I'm in a really good place to help expand that story. And happy to talk to you anytime, Marsha.
Oh, well, you're wonderful. Thanks so much, Dr. Daggy, and, of course, with Shaklee. Wonderful. I'm going to go take my MindWorks right now. Thanks for being with us.
All right, thank you.
And
Bye.
thanks to everybody out there. Thanks for being with us. Remember to always say your prayers, brush your teeth, say please and thank you, and always tell those you love that you do.